Welcome to the Hall of the Guardian. You can probably guess what we are here to talk about. Ah! Fear not, it's just simply my Fire Lord set that I am rocking with my mage. If you're curious, why am I rocking this if we're talking about Arcane? Well, that's because I don't play Arcane, at least not on this one. This one is strictly a fire mage, and I enjoy fire. I do intend to learn Arcane, but I'm going to be doing that with my Nightborn as I leveled that one up to get the Heritage Armor. However, in the meantime, we are here to discuss this bad boy right here. The great staff, Aluneth. After many setbacks, Aegwyn, we'll talk more about her in a minute, finally bound the entity to an enchanted great staff. The task of containing Aluneth was done, but it would take the Guardian years to truly harness its power. And then there you can see the outline of what you need to do to get this special secret appearance, which is basically a sheep, because polymorph. I personally am not really interested in getting that because I think it looks kind of silly. But anyways, we are here to not only go over the lore of Aluneth, but also I'm going to be reading you guys his whispers and quotes from various different situations and times in the game of especially during Legion, because he is one of only 3 artifacts that actually talks to you, which lends some interesting things. If you want to know what I'm talking about, feel free to head on over and check out my videos that I did on Thalkiel for the Demo Warlock and Xal'atath for the Shadow Priest. Now, Aluneth doesn't say things that are quite as interesting as Thalkiel and Xal'atath do in regards to where they are speaking from, in terms of Xal'atath from the Void, Thalkiel as a former Eridar. So, Aluneth is kind of different. We'll be reading the lore in the book here in the archive of the Tiras Guard in just a moment to kind of give more context to some of his quotes. So, let's go ahead and get right to it. Azeroth is filled with legendary relics and artifacts, but none compare to Aluneth. For hundreds of years, Guardian Aegwyn used this great staff to defend Azeroth from the Burning Legion. So, just as a reminder, Aegwyn is the mother of Medivh. Yes, that Medivh. Yet that alone is not what makes this weapon unique. An entity of pure arcane energy known as Aluneth is bound to the great staff. Harnessing this unruly being and its power requires tremendous precision and focus. An ordinary mage could never hope to control Aluneth. Fortunately, you are no ordinary mage. The wise and mirthful blue dragons were the first creatures on Azeroth to discover Aluneth. While manipulating the fabric of reality, they tapped into another realm of existence and made contact with the strange arcane entity. This is the upgrade appearance, by the way, in case you're curious. The blue dragons loved unraveling mysteries and delving into the secrets of the universe. They were so intrigued by Aluneth's existence that they summoned the entity into the world for further study. Aluneth immediately went on a rampage throughout the Blue Dragon's lair, the Nexus. The arcane presence destroyed countless rare artifacts and tomes of power before finally being contained. The dragons were not angry about what had happened. They were delighted by Aluneth's capricious nature. After years of conducting harmless experiments on Aluneth, the Blue Dragons satisfied their curiosity and sent the entity back to its own realm. It's like, alright, we had our fun. Go ahead and go back home. Blue Dragons, right? From Chapter 43 of Ancient Magic and How to Wield It Without Destroying the World. Sounds like quite a nifty book novel title, doesn't it? And so we come to the story of the Highborn named Metra, or Metir, however you want to pronounce it. I'll just say Metra. Metra and the source of his power, Aluneth. Few subjects are as hotly debated. Last year alone, 5 magi were treated for severe burns after their discussion of Metra escalated into a fiery brawl. Let us put the rumors to rest and focus on the facts. Metra lived during the height of the Night Elf Empire, and he was one of his race's most gifted sorcerers. As the story goes, he spent years exploring the world in search of knowledge. His extensive travels brought him into contact with an unknown blue dragon from whom Metra discovered the existence of the arcane, being named Aluneth, and the otherworldly plane where it dwelled. The sorcerer never enslaved Aluneth. The being was far too strong and unwieldy for that. Yet Metra found a way to draw power from the entity, thereby using its energies to enhance his own spells. From Chapter 50 of Ancient Magic and How to Wield It Without Destroying the World, concerning the Burning Legion's first invasion of Azeroth. Most highborn sorcerers sided with the Burning Legion and used their powers to help the demons invade the world. Metra did not. He joined the Night Elf Resistance and fought to defend the world. It was during these troubling years that Metra mastered his connection with Aluneth. In one battle, he and a group of Night Elf defenders found themselves surrounded by an overwhelming force of demons. Death was imminent, but Metra did not abandon hope. He called on Aluneth's energies and wove a mass teleportation spell that transported him and his comrades to safety. Let this be a lesson that what makes Magi great is not only their ability to destroy, but their ability to save lives. True wisdom is knowing the right time to use one instead of the other. From Chapter 61 of Ancient Magic and How to Wield It Without Destroying the World, concerning the aftermath of the War of the Ancients. Following their victory over the Legion, the Night Elves outlawed the use of arcane magic. They believed that the sorcerous arts were not safe, and that wielding them would only lead to another disaster like the War of the Ancients. Metra could not give up magic. Doing so would mean breaking his connection with Aluneth. The sorcerer quailed at the thought of losing his ability to draw on the entity's power. Perhaps he lacked confidence in his own skills. Whatever the case, Metra retreated from the society and became a recluse. This is why the idea of if you decide to make a Night Elf mage, you would probably in lore be getting shunned and even spit on by your fellow Night Elves because they would see you as a heretic, like that you are blatantly practicing the arcane arts when the Night Elves have made it pretty much a law amongst their people to strictly forbid doing that. So, that would be kind of like the combination where it's kind of a taboo combination of making a Night Elf that's also a mage. But the game doesn't necessarily do that. Although it would be interesting in terms of how everyone reacts to you if that was the case. Like going through Night Elf heavy areas. No one knows exactly what became of Metra, but he left behind a wealth of scrolls that would form the basis of modern magic. His writings included a number of spells that the sorcerer had created himself. Even thousands of years after the War of the Ancients, High Elf and human magi continued learning from Metra's knowledge. The ability to cast spells from his scrolls. Spells from his scrolls was seen as an important milestone in a young apprentice's education and a measure of a pupil's aptitude. Though many magi delved into Metra's scrolls, no one knew of Aluneth. The entity that had played such a critical role in the sorcerer's life was forgotten until the time of Guardian Aegwynn. Aegwynn was the guardian of Tirisfal, a sorceress imbued with extraordinary power and charged with protecting Azeroth from the Burning Legion. Like all magi of her era, Aegwynn was familiar with Metra and his scrolls. During her apprenticeship, she had mastered the ancient elf spells much earlier than the other students. Something had always perplexed Aegwyn about Metra. While studying his writings, she realized that the elf had wielded immense power, more than any regular sorcerer should have been capable of. After Aegwyn inherited the mantle of Guardian, she became obsessed with finding out how. Aegwyn discovered a series of lost scrolls written by Metra. They described Aluneth in detail, and even included spells the elf had used to tap into the being's power. Guardian Aegwyn believed that she could use Aluneth as a formidable weapon against the Burning Legion. By the way, when you're going through the Tomb of Sargeras raid, and that being who talks to you when you place the Pillars of Creation, that's who is talking to you. The, leftover echo of Aegwyn, trying to help guide you through the place. Which there is a quote from Aluneth about when he reacts to that, but we'll get there. Yet unlike Metra, she would not seemingly tap into the entity's energies. She would bring the being into Azeroth and bind it to her will. Aegwyn summoned Aluneth with ease, but it would not obey her commands. The fickle creature thrashed against the Guardian's containment magics and nullified her spellwork. Aegwyn reveled in the challenge of taming Aluneth. After many setbacks, Aegwyn finally bound the entity to an enchanted great staff. The task of containing Aluneth was done, but it would take the Guardian years to truly harness its power. An excerpt from Fire in the North, the battle between Aegwyn and Sargeras, by the historian Lore. Of all the trials Aegwyn faced, of all the foes she fought, none rivaled Sargeras. In the frozen wastes of Northrend, the Guardian confronted the ruler of the Burning Legion. This was not Sargeras in his true form, only an avatar, containing a portion of his strength. Which I believe is the avatar that we actually fight in the Tomb of Sargeras raid, if I'm not mistaken. Even so, Aegwyn's opponent was powerful beyond measure. Aegwyn raised Aluneth high and called down a storm of arcane magic to annihilate Sargeras. Nothing happened. The entity bound to Aegwyn's weapon resisted her command. As she struggled to assert her will over Aluneth, Sargeras launched a furious assault against the Guardian. Ultimately, Aegwyn put Aluneth aside and opted for a more reliable weapon. She summoned Atiesh, a mighty staff passed from Guardian to Guardian, and renewed her attack against Sargeras. Atiesh is the staff with the raven on top of it that we have seen Medivh wield, and as recent as Khadgar wields. In fact, that is the staff that Khadgar wields currently. Though Aegwyn defeated Sargeras, the battle changed her forever. Unbeknownst to the Guardian, the Legion's ruler had transferred a portion of his spirit into her soul. Aegwyn's demeanor darkened. As the years passed, she grew suspicious of the Council of Tirisfal. The Order of Magi that had imbued her with power had given her the mantle of Guardian. To distance herself from the Council, Aegwyn used Aluneth to forge a secret refuge. Atop a nexus of magical ley lines that coursed through Azeroth, the Guardian crafted her spell. She harnessed the full potential of Aluneth's energies, and reality warped and shifted around Aegwyn. Legend has it that a great tower then rose from the earth. It would become known as Karazhan. So in case we're curious, this staff right here, Aluneth, is a big reason why Karazhan was made, and why it probably is the way it is today, and has been for quite some time. For centuries, Aegwyn strengthened her control over Aluneth. She dispatched the Legion's demons with ease and secured Azeroth's safety for generations. Aegwyn eventually gave birth to a boy named Medivh, who would become the next Guardian. In time, Aegwyn planned to bequeath Aluneth to her son, but that day would never come. The spirit of Sargeras had passed from Aegwyn to Medivh. Over many long years, the Demon Lord twisted the new Guardian's thoughts. Sargeras used Medivh to help the mighty Orcish horde invade Azeroth and bring war to the world. If you've seen the Warcraft movie, that's what that's referring to. An excerpt from The Fate of Egwene by the historian Lore. When Egwene learned of Medivh's actions, she confronted him. Mother and child unleashed the full fury of their magics upon each other in a battle that would decide Azeroth's future. Even with Aluneth at her command, Egwene could not best Medivh. She only narrowly survived her encounter with the corrupted Guardian. Medivh was later vanquished, but that brought Egwene little solace. She was tormented by what had become of her son, by the darkness that she had unwittingly passed to him. For a time, Egwene retreated from society, and she entrusted Aluneth to the Kirin Tor of Dalaran. To prevent anyone from abusing Aluneth's power, the Kirin Tor locked the Great Staff away. For years, it would remain in an enchanted vault under the watchful eyes of blue dragons. And that leads into the quest that we go on to free Aluneth from the Nexus and then use its power to help defeat the Legion. So, what does Aluneth say, you may ask? Well, he's actually known by some players to be the one that actually yells at you if you're out of mana. He'll be like, "You're out of mana," or "You're low on mana." So he'll like a Thalkiel, he'll comment when you use some abilities. So if I use Conjure Refreshment, let's see if he says it here. Nope, he didn't say it. So some of the quotes he says, if you use Conjure Refreshment, he'll say, "Your considerable talent is wasted on pudding. Your allies are too dependent on you. Let them starve. The very powers of the ancient titans are at your command, and you choose to create tasty treats. I find your constant need for sustenance bemusing." When you use, you'll have to forgive me, obviously, since I'm not very familiar with arcane, the arcane spec, some of these abilities, I'm like, wait, which one's that? Here we go. Greater Invisibility. If you use Greater Invisibility, he can say, "Our magic conceals us from prying eyes. We all have our secrets, don't we? Are you afraid to fight? Interesting. Quite the tactician, are we?" If you use Spellsteal, "Your enemies are foolish to use such trifling magics against you. A very tactical move, my child. You are learning. This spell is ours now. Very good, well done. You are learning, child. When you cast a portal, you waste precious energy poking holes in reality for these clumsy sword-swinging brutes. Bah, let them walk. Have you ever considered opening portals to other worlds? Such power is within your grasp, child. Realm to realm we go. We reap and reap, but do not sow." Let's see. Interesting, there's a spoiler thing you can... So, draining power sources. So, I guess this is a spoiler. Aluneth will empower itself, and when near an arcane source in the Broken Isles, it will grant you a buff of 2% increase in arcane damage. And increase until it reaches 30 minutes. It triggered, for example, in Narthalos Academy and Azuna. So, he'll say things like, "I will consume it. So much power. This world is steeped in magic. You need only grasp it. Such power. It courses through me. They call you hero. Why, child, do you concede to their every whim? I drink, but I am never fulfilled. They seek to control us, to check our power. Do not allow it. More. I must have more. Arcane energies knit this world together. Do you feel it, child? You are ambitious, child, like the ones before you." It's interesting that he keeps calling us child, kind of like how Magatha does. Except he's more tolerable than Magatha. Fulfill your calling, child. Do not stop. He has a number of quotes when you're low on mana. I need more mana, child. I must recuperate my energies. You spend your energies frivolously. Mana. You need more mana. Is that everything you have? Power. I must have more power. You must pace yourself, child. You lack the mana to continue, child. Your frail frame cannot maintain this place. Now, he has a lot of comments in Dalaran. A lot of quotes. Lowly Dalaran, where petty mortal politics preclude the acquisition of true power. Even in intensive study, a mortal mage acquires so little knowledge in a lifetime. It's a wonder they even bother. The mages of this city see it as the arcane focus of this world. How little they know, child. My dear child, you hold yourself back. The power is within your grasp to send the entire city tumbling into the sea. The Kirin Tor, contemptible mortals groveling about for what meager scraps of power their tiny minds can comprehend. Ah, Dalaran, the city of spires, perches itself once more between you and you mortals and the end of your world. It was magic that built the city, and magic that sustains it. Turn me loose, mage, and I will leech it dry. For generations the mages of your world have trained in the city, like children playing with fire. How small is this city compared to the glorious and splendor of Suramar? Dalaran, the city that endures even after generations of its mortal inhabitants die off. Despite the petty bickering of the mortals who leads it, this place is nonetheless a passable assembly of arcane knowledge. In eons past, the Titans used the language of the arcane to weave whole worlds into existence. The ability to move a city is is insignificant. Surely you see the futility of a council of mortals overseeing an arcane trove of this magnitude. For generations, the mortal mages of Dalaran have sought to bury their fears beneath these walls. They are so weak, child. Your predecessor haunted these chambers for many years, child. Are you certain you want to dig up the past? I applaud your pursuit of knowledge, child. Your predecessor tried to wall in the darkness, but you are not afraid. Now, when you go through dungeons as a arcane mage with Aluneth, if you go to the Archway, this place is infused with the power of the arcane. Can you feel it? So much power. The glories of an ancient empire remain. There is power here, child. You mean only seize it. This city was built upon a matrix of mighty arcane energies. Ah, yes, power not for us both. A splendid empire, ensorcelled by magic for thousands of years. Let us shatter these halls and drink from the ruins. Bit of a hunger problem with the arcane he has, doesn't he? If you go to the Eye of Ashara, the Sea Queen once forged an empire with magic. She has since turned to a more shadowy benefactor. Queen Azara, do not underestimate her grasp of the arcane, or the devotion of her minions. The Naga wield magics, yes, but without finesse. There was a time Azara's people had the potential to rival the Titans. The Naga are trying to reclaim past glory amidst these ruins. They grovel for scraps. Show them what real power looks like. If you go to Neltharion's lair, the dragonflights once reigned over this world in the Titan's stead. See how these creatures pick at the carcass of their greatness? Now Therion withheld many secrets from the other dragonflights. Some of them may be of interest to us, child. The Titans imbued the great dragonflights with considerable power. The black dragonflight has been decimated. We should claim what power remains. The filth that occupy this place are an insult for the glory of a once proud dragonflight. If you go to the Cathedral of Eternal Night, which remember, after we defeat Mephistroth, the echo of Aegwynn appears. So he says, "She lives? No! I will never let her bide me again!" And then he realizes it's not actually her, and he goes, "Ah, merely a lingering echo of her power. Nothing to be concerned about, child." Now, if you go to the Tomb of Sargeras raid, when he sees the echo, even her echo prattles off endlessly. Do you see now what I had to deal with? After you place the Tidestone of Golganeth, bah! I am every bit as mighty as the Tidestone, or any of these other musty relics. After you place the Tears of Elune, a dream of perfect beauty. Ridiculous. This world knows only pain, child. After you place all the pillars, do not trust her ramblings. I am the only true power here. And after you go into the lower level of the tomb, you are better off without her. When you go to Antorus the Burning Throne, weapons built to destroy forces beyond reckoning. A pity that such power was not funneled into more productive pursuits. He says that when you encounter the Worldbreaker. This right here. When you encounter Kingaroth, the master of these machines conceals their true strength. Be on your guard. When you face the Coven of Shivara, stop them! The magic of the Titans must not fall into the Legion's hands. When you face Argus the Unmaker, I never thought I'd have to slay a Titan. This grieves me, but we do what must be done. When you just go into the Burning Throne, when you get to the Burning Throne, there is power here. Power beyond comprehension. And a few more quotes from him. Excellent, child. You crave power as much as I. Together, we will do great things. Together, we can remake this world. There is energy here. We work well together. None can hide from our wrath. And those are the quotes from Aluneth throughout your time in Legion. Bit of a power hunger problem he has, but then again, considering he is a being of pure arcane energy, that's probably not surprising. I would have loved to have seen what he actually looked like if he actually even had some kind of form before he was placed inside this staff. But that's history with him and Aegwynn and Medivh and Karazhan is quite interesting, isn't it? So I'll definitely be somewhat looking forward to when I eventually get my Nightborn Mage here, because I will primarily play that character as Arcane. So like I made her, I'm gonna like learn how to play Arcane kind of from the ground up, and then be able to see like how Arcane plays, and then be able to kind of see what it's like going through this expansion as an Arcane Mage instead of a Fire Mage, like I primarily did with this character. I'll do the same with my other human Frost Mage that I've modeled after Jaina, but Ebonchill and Fellow Malorn don't talk to you like Aluneth does. So it'll be probably a bit more of an interesting experience going through with Aluneth. How often I'll run out of mana as Arcane, well, who knows, but obviously I need to learn how to properly play Arcane before I attempt that. So I would say this is the one who has the least amount to offer in terms of interesting quotes and dialogue compared to both Thalkiel and Xalatath. I would say the most interesting and fascinating one of the three to play is definitely the Shadow Priest and Xalatath, especially considering that we get to hear from her again in BFA. So if you haven't seen those other two of the Demo Warlock and the Shadow Priest, of those other two weapons, feel free to head on over and check those out. And I will see you guys next time.